Welcome in everybody to welcome into the Outer Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm Jamie. That's Eli. It's Fun Day Wednesday or something. I don't know. I was trying to be funny.
Hump
I just blew
day.
that. Yes. Today we are actually going to cover Isaac Guerendo from Louisville Cardinals. For a minute there, it's kinda I had to take a moment there. I was about ready to say something else, but I'm like, "Wait, no, this guy's an ACC guy." So I'm like, "Oops."
Well, I understand your confusion. We'll get into where he was before he went to Louisville. He was a Wisconsin Badger. He was a Badger for a few
Yeah.
years. So right when we do the spotlight. Yeah. So Jay was mentioning offline that I should start using my Twitter handle, and my
Yeah.
response was I do use my Twitter handle. It's just basically my name. I use it for my email, my full name. And then obviously Jamie's got the Out of Rhythm Fantasy. So you can find us over whatever you call it, Twitter X, whatever. We'll throw it up.
all you gotta do is change your name, and you just gotta put an @ and take the 89 off of there, and then you're good to go.
I gotta do my own thing. I gotta be difficult here.
Yep, you do.
But in the meantime, where can these guys go? Like if they want to watch any of the previous content, if they want to DM us, they want to know our thoughts on other sports maybe that we play in fantasy. Where can they go and find all that?
Well, if you want to, you guys, our Discord link's actually in the description below. You know how Discord works. It's all right there. If as long as I did my shit right, it's all at the bottom of this description. But yeah, Apple, Spotify, and Google Play is for all the audio platforms there. So I mean, it's pretty much the stuff. This will be uploaded afterwards, after the show's over with, sometime during the night. I don't know when. So sometime during the overnight hours the Isaac Guerendo episode will be up on those platforms. There you go.
Yeah, and there's a nice playlist over on YouTube. Jay
Yep.
did a real good job. We've got, we mentioned it every one we do now with spotlights. We got a whole history of guys back from September to now. Even some guys that aren't even coming out. We did Riley Leonard. We almost did Travion Henderson from Ohio State. So there's a couple guys that hey, they'll be next fall or whenever we get around to it. Obviously Ollie Gordon from OK State. Guys like that. They're on the come up. But yeah, if you want to watch any of the 2024 prospects, got a whole playlist on YouTube for that.
Yep.
Let's see here. Do you want to get into any of the free agency news?
I
I
mean,
know we had a bum rush. I know we had a bum rush on Monday when we were doing Spencer Rattler, but did you want to get into any of the other signings the last couple days or trades?
well, let's see. Let me look quick. I mean, we can mention a few. I mean, we can, if you want to, we can mention a couple few. A couple few. I mean, there wasn't. I know. What was it? The the Colts signed. What's his name? The Browns. The Browns QB. The Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco went to the Colts. There was a
Oh,
yep. Ridley is a Titan now. They gave him like 3 or 4 years,
yep.
$93 million. There was just a couple few other ones. I mean, nothing too like outspoken. Let me just look here quick. Calvin Ridley to the Tennessee. Jimmy got released. Michael Thomas, he's going to be released. Mike Williams, he's going to be released. So a few hot names there. Michael Thomas, don't care for much. I mean, he's already kind of being washed. Mike Williams, I'll be kind of interested to see where he lands, even though he tore his ACL. And then we had Deontay Johnson. He actually got traded to Carolina, so that might, this. So I don't know. This is stuff we'll be ended up talking about more in depth when we hit our divisional previews in the summer. So stay tuned for all that. We'll break all that stuff down. So a lot of these trades we might not like really hit a lot on, but when our divisional previews hit, that's when we'll end up talking about, hey, was this a good trade for Carolina with Deontay Johnson going there? So we'll put our perspectives on a lot of that stuff when that stuff comes around. I mean, other than that, I mean, the other big one was Derrick Henry to the Ravens. That
That's
happened the other. That one's kind of huge.
That's
I was hoping
right
that
there.
I was hoping Dallas, but, and the way things were going, it'd be like, well, more likely, yes, the Ravens were gonna snake him up. So this is a very good chance for the Ravens to actually just be Super Bowl champions next year. Just write it in 2025 or 2024, Ravens, Super Bowl champions. Um, other than that,
I was gonna say I gotta I'll jump back into what on your thoughts, but I'll give my three that are like I could say fantasy and for the team that acquired these guys. I think it could be make major waves. I love Joe Flacco to Indy because AR5 is a stud. We all know that. We all know his ceiling. I mean, the guy's got top 5 potential, but if he's gonna be maybe a Justin Fields where he gets hurt quite a bit, or Lamar early in his career, if it's gonna be that situation, who better than Joe Flacco to come in? I think he can put up, if he plays 10 games or so, he could put up Gardner Minshew kind of numbers. I mean, Minshew, he didn't tear the world up. He had a really good season, but I think that's replaceable. So hold on to Joe Flacco if you have him in dynasty, and you might, might end up taking him as in like a 12-man redraft league, middle of the year, you might be picking him up on the waiver wire again. So just like we did last year with the Browns. Second one, Derrick Henry, obviously. Ravens got to be the Super Bowl favorite now. They re-signed their stud defensive lineman. We don't really talk a lot of defensive players, but re-signed him. They let go of Devin Duvernay, but he's a joke. I mean, he was what, their third or fourth receiver anyways, like no big deal. Derrick Henry is basically a better version of Gus Edwards. If you really think about it, Derek, he's still capable of having 1,000-yard season. Plus, you add on, the goal line. I mean, he'll be Zeke Elliott and Cowboys a few years ago, just feasting. Probably I would say I'm gonna throw it out there right now. I think Derrick Henry has a possibility of getting 15 touchdowns next year. I really think that. I think the Ravens are gonna feast on everybody, and they're my Super Bowl favorite now, and we'll get into like you were saying, division previews and the fantasy stuff later in the summer. And then like the third edition, I liked. It kind of went under the radar, and I put it on the bottom there. But I like Gerald Everett to the Bears. I really do. I think he's a knight. He was miscast as a number 1 tight end. Like he was never that guy with Seattle. He was decent, but he was never that guy with Seattle. Never that guy with the Chargers. And now he gets to play second fiddle to Cole Kmet, which I think that's a great 1-2 combo. Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett. I think that's going to be a nice 1-2 combo with the Bears. And, they're going to end up taking a quarterback, obviously. Justin Fields, we're just waiting for him to be shipped out. That was one of the things. I was like, okay, well, now we're probably going to have to wait till the draft. I thought 2 things would happen between, when we stream Monday until now. I thought Derrick Henry would sign with the Cowboys, and I thought Justin Fields would be traded, and neither of those happened. So I'm 0 for 2. I'm batting 0 for 2. Where's Donovan at? Where's he at? Where's our baseball guy at? Swing.
But I did mention that Sam Darnold was going to be a Viking, and later that night,
you were right. Yep.
Yeah, and it was kind of, I'm like, damn, that was crazy. But other than that, I think there were, just a other couple few. Sounds like Isaiah Hodgins, he might be cut. That was kind of a given. Mason Rudolph, just Titans signed him, pretty much a backup in case. But other than that, I mean, not a lot. And just
Jay, he actually played pretty decent, in that playoff game against the Bills and kind of down the stretch. I mean, you could argue, just in that little bit, he was every bit as good as Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett's going to be competing for the starting job. So I think that's another under the radar, decent signing. He's not, I mean, it's Will Levis's job, but I think Mason Rudolph as the backup is a nice plan they got there.
Yep. And then Darnell Mooney joining Kirk Cousins down in Atlanta. So I mean, that was another trade that kind of happened. So and we will talk about we'll talk about all this stuff too when we hit our divisional previews. We'll talk about guys we don't like, and just all that stuff in general. So I mean, we might not cover a lot of, we'll just kind of highlight some of this stuff, but other than that, we won't really go into depth just because we still got we still got the NFL draft coming up, and that's gonna play a lot of
Yep.
part too in a lot of this stuff. So I mean, we don't get all hyped up and jumped up just because yes, free agency, great, whoopty freaking do. I mean, yeah, it's great for these teams signing, but we still got the NFL draft coming. So I mean, a lot of factors are still going to play into, what if, a team takes a wide receiver, a quarterback, that changes the whole platform. So we can say, well, this guy's a riser right now, but hey, what about the NFL draft? That's going to be a whole different freaking story coming around, in a about a month or less. So that's going to change it's going to change everything.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you said there. And just to add on to the Darnell Mooney signing, that's a lot of money. I I'm not sure what the guarantee is, but that 3 years, 39, that's like 13 million a year for a number 3 receiver. That just seems like a lot of money for a number 3 receiver. But maybe that's the market now, because top guys are getting between 25 to 30 now, right? Like 28 to 30, somewhere in there. Receiver ones, twos are getting 22 to 20, or 20 to 24,
Yeah,
somewhere in there. So
somewhere
maybe
like that.
threes, I don't know, maybe threes, are getting 13 to 15 now. I didn't know that. Is Tyler Boyd going to get paid with the Bengals too? Is he going to get?
I think Boyd is
Just
out.
yeah,
I
I
think
just
he
seemed like
might
a
be
lot
out.
for Darnell Mooney because he wasn't a Darnell Mooney wasn't a bust with the Bears, but we had shares of him in fantasy. He let a lot of us down.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, and I think, well, he had, the deal is 39 million, including a 26 million guaranteed, so
so it's
and
like
I was
it's basically 2 years guaranteed.
yeah, so I mean,
So
I just kinda heard
eh,
in general, with Kirk Cousins, I mean, with Kirk Cousins being there, it's Kirk Cousins is able to carry, he's able to actually get involved, get all of his, tight ends, wide receivers involved, so this might be a good deal for people who have Mooney, he might even be better than Drake London. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not
no, no.
no,
I just got my light bulb here. I got to put a red one in. Yeah, how could you say that? Oh my god. Oh, oh.
The red light district.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
yeah,
No,
yeah. We need
other
a
than
sound
that
effect. You just entered the red light district.
even Donna said, Justin Fields let us down, not Mooney. I mean, yeah, if you think about it, Mooney actually had a 1,000-yard season, time, and then he had a down season here this last season. I mean, if you just go back and take a look, I mean, yeah, before they even had, DJ Moore, I mean, he was a 1,000-yard receiver, and I think he had, like, 10 touchdowns or somewhere in there. I would have to go back and take a look, but someone was actually he was reading into this and, that, Kirk Cousins is capable of, you know, carrying
I
or
tried.
he tried. He's actually capable of carrying, being able if you think about it, he had Justin Jefferson, he had Addison, he had freaking, Hockenson. So he's a
KJ
quarterback that's
Osborne too, who's also a free
yes.
agent.
Yeah, so I mean, he's capable of of throwing the ball to guys in these offenses. So I mean, he's capable of holding 3 guys down at the same time. So I mean, he's like, "Hey, I'll throw you the ball. I'll throw you the ball." So I mean, he's capable of doing that. He's one of those quarterbacks that's capable of doing things like that. But yeah, I think that's enough free agency talk. Don't care too much about it. It wasn't really a big woohoo, for
Well, because
me.
your damn Cowboys didn't do it the one job they were supposed to do, which is sign a damn running back. And
I
when
know, I know.
when I get into
It's all right.
Isaac here in a second, yeah,
representing the
yeah,
Titans here today.
you might have to change your allegiance over to Tennessee. At least Tennessee's getting stuff done, signing
Yep.
Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard. They're basically becoming Cowboys, South or Southeast.
Yeah, there we go. I think that yep. Oh, all right. All right, guys. That's enough NFL talk for today. I had enough of it. So I think it's time for our college spotlight. Isaac
Look at his
Guerendo
toe.
from
Ah,
Louisville Cardinals.
yes. So as you
Yeah.
can tell, my little yeah, I love the Louisville color scheme. Fun fact: I actually used to live in Louisville for a little bit, so
I know,
so
you hater.
it hits close to home with me. Yeah, I live in the St. Matthews area. You guys are familiar with that. Anyways, so we kind of started off the last episode like Jay put a graphic up with all the stats of Spencer Rattler, with his 2019 to 2023, kind of do it a little bit different tonight. So I'll just kind of get into it, and then after I do the graphic here, I'll probably put up my 5 teams. Then maybe Jay can put up his graphic. It'll maybe something with fantasy or this just a more because I kind of compact the stats into 2 seasons. I put like the 2022, 2023 because those are the most recent. But Jay will usually have a whole list, and we use Draft Buzz usually because that's a nice consensus on everything. I know there's PFF and there's ESPN and there's a bunch of other places, a bunch of other outlets for prospect rankings and a bunch of other guys that do lists and stuff. So we just use Draft Buzz because it's the average of all of them combined, and so and it's very user friendly. It's very easy to read. If you ever go to Draft Buzz, NFLDraftBuzz.com, very very easy to go through all the lists and all the statistics, and they're very in depth with everything. So that's what I'm using here. That's where I got the prospect ranking. So overall, he's 126. Running back, he's number 11. He's averaging and if you ask all the other outlets, it's between 11 to 14 for running back ranking, which sounds about right. 4th round projected pick right now. He's been shooting up the board. This guy had the second best NFL combine. If you guys had heard of him before tonight, had the second best NFL combine numbers for a running back like ever or since the 80s or something crazy. So he's off the charts. He's even got bigger hands than Spencer Rattler. I read some of these statistics and some of them I don't care. I don't care what his shuttle time was. I don't care what he benched or what. I'm looking down and I'm seeing his hands are 9 and a 2. So he's got bigger hands than Spencer Rattler. Maybe Guerendo should be playing quarterback for instead of Rattler here, man. This. Dude's got small hands, but anyways, he's out the door. Guerendo is tonight. I'll get back into him here. He's 6 foot 221. Like we were mentioning, one of the record combines, ran the fastest time 4.33, which is incredible for somebody that big. I mean, when you think of 4.33, or four high 4.2s or 4.3, just in that range, you're thinking of remember Chris Johnson. Back in the day with the Titans, you're thinking of Chris Johnson. You're thinking of A-Chain from last year with the Dolphins. Mo Star. You think about a Dolphins back, or you think of Chris Johnson or AP, or just an all-time prospect or all Pro Bowl level guy. You're not thinking of, wow, this is a random guy from Louisville. But yeah, he's off the charts. And to me, he screams the ultimate prospect because he doesn't have the great college numbers to back any of this up. There's some guys that we've talked about that they'll have 15 touchdowns or 1,300 yards, 1,500 yards. Maybe they'll have some, 450 yards receiving. He doesn't have any of that. This is all basically we see a lot of tread on his tires. I think he only has 270 or 280 career touches. And that's receptions and carries. So, I mean, he's basically fresh. That's the equivalent of 1 full year, if you really think about it. So he's really only had 1 full year in college. If you combine all the years, so, all the experiences he had, he's got fresh tires. I like that a lot. Obviously, we mentioned how quick he was. He was a track star in high school. So, and a guy this big.
That explains it.
You know what I mean?
That explains it then. No wonder why he's so
this
quick.
guy's a monster. He is, man. And I was gonna say his career average in college was 6 yards a carry, which is, that's damn good. I know a lot of guys in college get higher. A couple guys we mentioned, they're averaging 7 yards a carry. Well, that's usually their senior year or their junior year. I mean, throughout his career, it was consistent. I mean, the stats weren't always there, but the yards per carry was always 6 or above. I mean, it was incredible. Picks up blitz as well, which is very handy in the NFL. There's a lot that I like. And yeah, Jay put up his stats there on that graphic. There's a lot of stuff that I like. Just going over some of the highlights and some of the statistics. Louisville had they kind of imploded towards the end of the year. I remember they were a top, hovering around the top 10, top 15 team up until probably Thanksgiving, and then they just imploded. I know they got smacked in the ACC title game, lost the bowl game to USC, and so it kind of just fell apart. But he actually rose up. So a lot of his stats, if any of you guys are following the scroll at the bottom, you'll see probably the first half of the year he didn't do hardly anything. He really didn't do a lot of anything in terms of popping. But yeah, monster, as you can see, it's going across right now. Big game against Virginia Tech on November 4th. Had 146 yards and 3 touchdowns. Another monster game against USC in the bowl game. That was probably the first thing that put him on the map. Other than the speed, like the Adrian Peterson kind of burst that he has, that probably, he's probably on, Sports Center top 10 for some of that, speed he's got. But I would say it was the USC Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, that put him on the map. And the second thing, he had a really good performance at the East West Shrine Bowl game that was right before the Senior Bowl. So didn't win the MVP. That was Frank Gore Jr., but had a good performance there. Had good pre-game. When they go over, it's kind of like a mini combine. Like a lot of these Senior Bowls, a lot of these East West Shrine Bowl games, they have these guys do all these metrics, and so his numbers were great there. They were great at the combine, a few weeks ago. And let's see here. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna see what your thoughts are, and then I'm like, I need a break. I need a defibrillator. Oh God.
No, I was actually trying to find. Because I went back and I'm not sure what I did. My notes are probably over there from the Shrine Bowl because I actually sat back, watched it. I'm sure I probably got some notes of Guerendo in there that's probably saying he had a couple of receptions in that game in the Shrine Bowl. I'm sure he had a couple
He had
of them.
He had a big 24-yard carry. I specifically remember that. He had a big 24-yard carry. But those games, Jay, like we say, those games, like these guys just, because there's so many all-stars there, they don't get, they're not going to pound him, 25 times with the rock. The Senior Bowl,
Yeah.
you're not going to get, Spencer Rattler wasn't going to get 35 complete, attempts, or, so just because somebody doesn't go off for 120 yards in one of these games doesn't mean they had a bad game or a bad week at the East West Shrine Bowl or the Senior Bowl. So we keep that in mind too.
Oh yeah. I think it more comes down to the more the limit, the unlimited, well, not unlimited, but the limited like reps somebody gets. And I look at it more as what can you do with the limited reps that you do get, or the limited catches you get, or the limit, in those, like most of these guys get a quarter. So what did he do in that quarter? Did he rip off a couple of them just to kind of give that nice little like, oh, ooh, ah, kind of thing, And that's what most of these things are too. I mean, these guys get so much in a quarter to, to show what kind of talents they got, And I'm pretty sure that, I know Frank Gore, that one, I know I watched a little bit of that. He ripped off a nice 68-yard to the house, So I mean, there's little things like that are, you get the limited touches in those kind of games. I guess you can put it that way.
And yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. And that's probably why Frank Gore Jr. won the MVP. Because of that monster run. There wasn't a big difference between him and some of the other backs. I know Blake Watson from Memphis. There's a couple other stud backs that had decent performances in that game as well. It's hard to find statistics. We always talk on Messenger about this, about how hard that is to find. You can go look at a random Tennessee-Kentucky game from October or something, and you can get every stat known to man. But if you're trying to get Senior Bowl stats or Shrine Bowl stats, it's like trying to pull teeth. So a lot of this is off just watching the game in memory. Like we can't go back and reference like, oh, hey, Google this, because you're not going to find it. So this was just based off of memory, like him seeing a couple of those big runs there. I'll get to my comp here, Jay. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I mean that's how I know. Like we that Roadrunner, the guy from the wide receiver there down there that I kind of mentioned a couple times, where he ended up I just know he ended up getting a lot of targets in that game. So I mean, it's just certain things that
Baker.
No, not Javon Baker. No, I'm talking about the Shrine Bowl. Yeah, there was a Roadrunner up in there. I can't remember his name offhand. I have all the roster constructions all over my piece of paper there. But yeah, I just know he was getting target quite a bit. So I mean, there's names and things that you see in these games where things like that end up, they put a little bit like a little digital memory card in your mind. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. So little things like that. I mean, that's the thing that sucks about a lot of these Shrine Bowl things, that you wish that you can kind of see the breakdown statistics and stuff like that to kind of, refresh your mind. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points there. I'll see what you think about the comps here. So I'll get into that portion of it, kind of see where you're at with things. And then we could probably get into the 5 teams that, I've been doing that for probably the past 5, probably since Ricky Pearsall. 5 teams that are probably the best landing spots or the most realistic landing spots for Isaac Guerendo. I'm going to say the low end. And it's hard. It's hard because this guy, a lot of guys that are 6 foot, 220, a lot of them run like a 4.5, 4.53, 4.59. Like he's freakish. A lot of these guys that are running 4.33 are like Chris Johnson size. They're 5'10", 205, 5'9", 200 pounds. They're smaller backs. They're not. This guy. You see why the scouts are just foaming at the mouth for this guy, because the amount of tread left on the tires. He did it at a bigger school. Louisville's, they're middle of the pack ACC, upper tier this year. He's not doing this at Georgia or Alabama, but still, Louisville is still a bigger program. And Wisconsin too. He didn't put up a lot of stats at Wisconsin last year, but he had a couple bursts that were like, okay, this guy's got home run. This guy's a playmaker. So you can kind of combine being in 2 bigger schools. So I like that aspect of it. So it's a little bit different. So it's hard to pinpoint. I combine a bunch of different stuff. I combine like where I think they're going to be statistically, fantasy wise, size, 40 time, some of the, pre-draft stuff. Like, are they shitty blockers? Do they have a quick burst off the line? So I combine a bunch of different things. Can they catch screen passes really well? So I combine a bunch of different stuff to come up with my usually it's 3 now, three comps. So I'll say Pierre Strong Jr., formerly of the Patriots. He was with the Browns last year. I would say that's the floor. It's similar. If I think Pierre's like 5'11", 215, so close in size. Ran like a high 4.3. Big D, go Big Red. Yep. Got a badge. We got a badge reference there. Just for you, Donovan. I'd say Pierre Strong is the floor. In kind of being a rotational running back, guy just off the practice squad kind of thing. Like, he might spend some time on the practice squad, get some playing time, maybe a start. If you have a monster, like a Nick Chubb go down, and then maybe Jerome Ford gets hurt, then you've got Pierre Strong, a guy like that. So maybe that could be Isaac Guerendo's role in the NFL, kind of being like a fill-in starter, but more in line with being like a third back, possibly practice squad guy. And that's where Pierre Strong is at. And Pierre Strong had that burst at South Dakota State. We saw that firsthand. We're South Dakota boys. We remember how good Pierre Strong was in college. That's kind of what it reminded me of. I would say that the middle comp, and that's usually mine that's more realistic, like where I think statistically, fantasy wise, like where they're going to end up. This was another hard one. He's not as good of a receiver, obviously, but just based on the burst and the way I could see them utilizing him, he reminds me a lot of Cordero Patterson. You remember Cordero from the Falcons a few years ago?
Oh, and the Vikings?
Like, yeah. Cordero started off as a kick returner, and then, obviously a receiver with the Vikings, moved to the Bears, and then eventually found his footing as like a hybrid running back with the Falcons, and had some really good seasons. So maybe you could turn into that, which is like, average starter, kind of that level, maybe just a start, starts a season or something, and then the rest of the time he's a backup or he's a rotational guy. I think that's more realistic. I don't see Isaac Guerendo being like a world beater, and I'll see what Jay thinks too after I'm done here. But I don't see him being a world beater. And then his ceiling, I would say, is Rachaad White, and Draft Buzz has him as the number 1 comp as well. So I agree with Draft Buzz on that. That's very, very similar. Rachaad White only had like 1,000 yard year at Arizona State, like back in college. So Rachaad White, we know what he is now in the NFL. He's solidified. He's definitely a top 15 fantasy back, no question. Some people might view him higher, but that's about where I have him, between 12 to 15, which is, that's damn good. and he was a big part of the Bucks offense last year, and he will be again this year. So, but that's like his ceiling, I think, and obviously not as prolific of a pass catcher either. I think Rashad his last year at Arizona State had like 450 yards receiving, like somewhere in that range. So, not sure if he's going to be as good of a receiver. You're kind of like an all-purpose dual threat running back like Rashad White, but that would be the ceiling. Like if this guy reaches his maximum potential, and I think he's a little bulkier. Like I think he weighs a little bit more too, so he's got a little more punch to it. I think he's got a bigger frame than Rashad White. So that yeah, I'll see what you think, Jay. So basically, the spectrum is between Pierre Strong up to Rashad White, like somewhere in there. I think he's going to end up.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who he kind of represented or kind of resembled a little bit, and I was just like, God, I had a hard time trying to figure out because it's being 6'1" and whatnot, so I was like, man, I know at first I was kind of thinking Kareem Hunt a little bit. For some reason, Kareem Hunt just came to my mind because Kareem Hunt was kind of he was capable of having 1,000 yards, but he was after leaving he's kind of started having kind of like those 600, 800 yards, and a little bit out of the backfield, a little bit pass catcher out of the backfield, kind of one of those guys that actually just when you got the ball, he just kind of went through the motions, kind of tried to run over people as much as he could, and this is what Guerendo actually kind of what he gives to a kind of a pass catcher, for being a pass catcher. I mean, catching the ball, and he'll run through, try to get those first downs and stuff like that. So I was trying to have a hard time, and I thought Kareem Hunt maybe it's slightly a little bit, but I'm like, yeah, probably wouldn't fit his style, but maybe it's a guy that's kind of second stringer, kind of even he has okay, let's put it this way, he has the potential of maybe being an RB1 in the right setting, or an injury happened, but right now RB2, RB3, kind of more of a backup, kind of like third or fourth down kind of back.
Yeah, well, especially if he can pick up the blitzes,
Yeah.
he definitely have a role on third. He definitely have a role on third down. And in today's NFL, the way guys are going for it on fourth down, maybe fourth down too. He might play half the downs just based on that. He's got a big body. Keep pass rushers at bay, and catch a few balls out of the backfield. And I think he can. I think he can get an assortment of yards, kind of like Rashad White. Like Rashad White isn't a 1,400 yard running back. Like he gets his yards in different ways. He gets you 900 to 1,000 rushing, and then he'll get you or maybe 900 rushing, and then 500-600 receiving.
So
Alvin Kamara is like the ultimate. Where he gets you between like somewhere around 1,000, a little under 1,000 yards rushing usually, and then you get 800 yards receiving.
So
you get 800 yards receiving. So he's not. I'm not comparing him to Alvin Kamara, but you understand you can piece this stuff together where these guys can have fantasy value, or come and being rotational guys. I mean, Pierre Strong, who knows? Like we don't know if Nick Chubb is going to be a fully functional Nick Chubb again. And Jerome Ford isn't a world beater. He was a fifth round guy for a reason. So it's like Pierre Strong has only been in the league for 2 years. I mean, he's still got potential. So just because these guys are they're kind of I don't know if he's viewed as like, remember John Ross from a couple years ago, the receiver.
Oh, yep.
That was a bust. I guess it had been 2017. I mean, it's been a while now, but I was like a couple years. But he was viewed as, because he could run a 4.22. He's like, oh, this all this hype, and he was the 9th overall pick, and he was a complete bust.
Yeah,
but I think Guerendo, he's this like this combine warrior. But I think people are gonna keep him where he's supposed to be, like a fourth round, fourth, fifth round pick. I think that's a safe spot. Maybe go where like a Chase Brown, from the Bengals, because we saw what they shipped out Joe Mixon, so maybe Chase Brown's getting his chance too. So you end up in like a situation like that where maybe he comes on strong in the second, or the second half of his first season, and then maybe he gets the starting job in 2025. So if you guys are looking at the long-term projection for Isaac Guerendo, maybe 2025 he's a starting back, like Jay was saying, like maybe he's an RB1. So it'd be interesting to see. And there's some more statistics.
Yeah, since we're kind of talking, see, and that was the thing too. I was thinking, like, why does this guy only have 800 some odd yards? And then when I did some digging and some game logs and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, no wonder why. I mean, they actually had, Jahar Jordan as their more as their lead back. He had 1,000 some odd yards, 13 touchdowns. So I'm like, well, so that's why I'm like, well, that's probably why he was a little bit limited with the Cardinals there. So I honestly, I think if the ver the roles reversed, he would have had 1,000 some odd yards. He would have, he probably would have had at least 1,000 at least or so. I mean, it would have been a lot closer to 1,000 yards, so I mean, with his little bit of a limited role, I guess you can put it that way, and, Junior taking, RB1 roles, he kind of fell, Guerendo actually fell to kinda like the RB2. So, I mean, this is kind of we can kinda predict RB2 roles stats, you can put it that way.
Yeah, and that's very much possible. I think the NFL, oh, they don't care. First of all, they don't, because some of these, I mean, some of these guys ran for some of these guys ran for 19 touchdowns in college. Like I think, who am I thinking of? Is it Hoskins from the Titans? I think he had a big college career. Didn't, that doesn't just because this guy he's got fresh tread, and they're like, basically he's a moldable piece of clay. It's like this guy's got, his number, his athletic numbers are off the chart. So it's like we can mold him how we want. And when I get into these teams here in a second, I didn't include the like the teams you think of that are, offensively creative and they can mold players pretty well. I didn't include a lot of them in there, like the Rams, 49ers, Chiefs, teams like that. But yeah, that actually Chiefs will probably be an honorable mention in
I
my
mean,
top 5 here, but
before you probably get into, your teams here,
yes,
here's something real quick.
yes, yes, yes.
Since we're talking about, like, guys, here's I was trying to find Keep Cup trade, couldn't find where he was actually listed at, where he was ranked at as far as running back wise. There was nothing there. I'm like, "Well, damn, they only had, like, 150," and I guess no one on Keep Trade Cut must have not have heard of this guy or whatever, so he wasn't even listed on their site. So I'm like, "What? Really?" So I took a quick gander at Fantasy Pros over there. Tier 9, you can kinda get an idea where he's kind of falling out with Frank Gore, Cody Schrader, most of these rookies. Then you got, DJ Dallas, Royce Freeman, and Kevin Harris, and then he kinda right at the bottom of the ad of that tier, Isaac Guerendo. So you can kinda get an idea where he kinda might be falling into, but who knows? Depends on who drafts him. He could probably go up the board a little bit.
Yeah, no, Royce Freeman. I,
Yeah.
I guess he did have a few decent games with Denver and the Rams. Maybe Kevin Harris. Like who the hell is Kevin Harris? There's some guys here I think he could jump for sure,
Oh
but
yeah,
obviously
that's what I mean.
I don't think he's as good as Cody Schrader. Frank Gore Jr. is probably better as well. I like Isaiah Davis. That's another SDSU kid we like.
Yeah, I think he's kinda in a s
Yeah,
he's
there's definitely
those 2 are pretty similar.
the range. I agree with the range, Jay. Like the
Yeah, yeah,
150 RB 115 ish.
yeah,
That's for now. Yeah, I get it.
yep,
Just based on his college statistics, but I think, but his ceiling, and that's why he'd probably be a 4th round pick. It's because of the ceiling.
yep,
He's got a higher ceiling than, I mean, we saw the way Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright was like prospect, running back number 7 or 8 for the longest time, and then he had the monster numbers of the combine, went up to number 2. So he's the number 2 running back right now behind Trey Benson. So it just varies, but I know I agree with the list there. And DJ Dallas, by the way, just got a contract with one of my 5 teams here. Cardinals signed him, so we're getting a
Oh,
tier. He's
gross.
yeah, yeah, he's yeah. Remember all his
Yeah,
time in Seattle.
gross.
He's yeah, I agree.
Bleh.
You know
Eh,
what's even grosser? Okay, and I went after him a little bit. Beginning of the show when we were talking about some of the NFL free agency for a reason. What the hell? What the hell? I looked at some of the free agents out there, and who the hell are the Dallas Cowboys going to sign? That's why I got him at number 1. Who the hell are they going to sign, Jay? I'm looking. J.K. Dobbins is still out there. You want him? But this ain't Ohio State 5 years ago. Okay? This guy can't stay healthy to save his life. A.J. Dillon, what you want? You already have, you already have Rico Dowdle, who's pretty much, different body type, but same stats. I mean, there's not any difference there. Or is Dowdle still there?
I don't think so. I don't see him here. Dowdle, it might be
Yeah.
gone. He
They
might be
got rid
gone.
of Rico Dowdle too. What the hell? So Deuce Vaughn, I think I was reading that right. So technically that would make Deuce Vaughn like the #1 running back right now.
No, more likely, Malik Davis. We kinda pitched him in,
Oh,
back and
he's
forth there.
what? What?
Yeah.
They got the worst running back room in the league.
Well, hey,
And it's
nothing sounds better than Snoop Connor.
right. I want Snoop Dogg. That's the Snoop I want, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got the Cowboys at #1 because why the hell not? They should take 2 running backs. That running back room is so bad. They should take 2. Okay, they should take who. So I go back to back rounds. I do 3rd and 4th. It's like we'll take we'll take the kid from Texas and then we'll take Isaac Guerendo. Back to back. That's like okay, we'll fix this running back situation like that because I don't want to sign any of these guys. CEH, no, that's a hard
No.
pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, a decent rookie year, but I mean, you're basically given the best play caller, best quarterback, one of the better offensive lines. You're given all these advantages in KC, and the guy couldn't cut the mustard. And then Dante Foreman, he's passed and he's washed. You know, I mean, he's past his
Oh,
prime. So yeah, yeah, get him out of here. Cowboys, yeah. What do you think? Them not an early pick, but fourth, fifth round if he's still there. What do you think about the Cowboys taking him?
yeah. I mean, with me just kinda looking back, I mean, yeah, I mean, he could replace, I mean, Deuce Vaughn, he could totally replace Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Lupe. I mean, even Snoop
He's
Connor,
got a
I
little.
mean,
He's
so
got a little bit of DeMarco Murray.
yeah,
I mean, we remember that burst and kind of a similar size.
yeah, for
He
sure.
kind of. I mean, we try to keep it current with the play. I try to keep it current with the players. Within the last 3 to 4 years or so. But yeah, Murray. He's with Tennessee and Dallas. He's definitely has some Murray in him.
Yeah, he does a little bit. I mean, especially with the way he runs and he actually his vision of actually seeing things and getting out of, kinda cutting through holes and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, it would be a good fit for us. I mean, I wouldn't see why not.
So Cowboys at 1. Number 2, another awful running back room. The New York Giants. I almost I had to I almost threw up the last show because candidly, I'm not the Spencer Rattler. We that's very. It's not one of the prospects that I love. We gotta some of these guys we gotta really jazz them up. I gotta be the hype man and just because I could tell Jay was like and this when I talk about the Giants I feel the same way. I'm like just garbage. Evan Singletary is your feature back. Come on now. And he did a decent job filling in last year with the Texans. Don't get me wrong, but they have no court. I mean, Daniel Jones, Tanny Dimes. We don't even know if this clown's going to play. Eric Gray coming off injury. Eric Gray, get out of here. This ain't Oklahoma anymore, man. They could use something, some kind of excitement, some kind of burst. Because you know what? I want to see Tommy Cutlets. That's who I want. I want to see. I want to see Tommy DeVito with Isaac Guerendo in the backfield. Exactly. That would entertain me because there's nothing else about this team that's entertaining unless they wise up a little bit and take Malik Neighbors or Roman Dunze with their first round pick. You actually get a deep threat receiver for a change. They haven't had one of those since OBJ.
Yeah, yeah, for
almost
sure.
10 years ago. But yeah, their running back room is garbage. What do you think about them taking Isaac, 4th, 5th round, somewhere in there?
Yeah, I mean, Singletary, I mean, I already kinda gave my rant on Singletary, smaller back, from FSU or the Florida State, whatever heck the team they were, but yeah, I mean, Eric Gray, I think he has some potential there, but we didn't know what he really had just because, they had Barkley there. So that was the downfall with that. I mean, sprinkle in a little Gray, Guerendo in there. It might give it a little spark. I mean, beyond
Got
Jack's
a little Gray. Put a little Gray in there.
I'm sure people will be pulling their hairs out because their hair will be gray by the time the season's over with.
Yeah, if you're a Giants fan, yeah, yikes. I know they got Brian, the pass rusher Brian Burns, but that doesn't help anybody fantasy wise.
No.
And that's why I hope I hope they take, they don't do something dumb and trade down unless, uh, unless they're going to take Brock Bowers. They trade down a little bit, a few spots, and take Bowers at 12 or 13 or something. But other than that, you got to take a receiver. You got to take a running back, maybe two like Dallas, and then you got to take, one of our boys, Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze with their top 10 pick. Number 3, this is another team I have in quite a few top 5s. Panthers is mandatory. That's kind of the running joke of this spotlight, is that I put the Panthers in the top 5 and it never fails any position. Well, I think we're gonna do Ben Sinnott from K-State our next spotlight. The Panthers will probably be in there too. Never fails. But Arizona Cardinals are another team that's always in my top 5 here because they need a bunch of players. Let's just be honest. Why not? Why not put it? James Conner's old as dirt. I think they had, like a revolving door of running backs last year that I think Keontae Ingram from USC, I think he played a couple games. He was cut. Was it DiMericato, whatever the hell his name was? I think he played a couple games. Yeah, it was a revolving door of average to below average running backs. So I think Guerendo, he wouldn't jump. I mean, he's a different running back than James Conner. James Conner could kind of be and he could, at his age, he could transition into like a goal line back, kind of like what, Gus Edwards or what Derrick Henry is going to be for Baltimore. And then you add some speed. You add the speedster. I think that's a nice 1-2 punch if they get Guerendo in the 4th, 5th round. What do you think about the Cardinals?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, they have Michael Carter there who was traded for. So I mean, they're kind of similar in that aspect. So I mean, it wouldn't be a bad, with Demare, Imare.
He's bigger though. Michael Carter. I understand what you're. Yeah, I get what you're
Michael
saying.
Carter. Michael Carter is only 5'8". Michael Carter's only 5'8".
Yeah, you got a bull here, and then you got basically Singletary versus the bull. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was just saying in general, Michael Carter, they're pretty similar. These two guys are pretty similar. They can catch out of the backfield. They can kind of run through the tackles a little bit and whatnot. So I mean, but Guerendo is actually a little bit more. He's a bull. I mean, he is a little bit bigger. Yes, he can actually. His vision's a little bit more. His vision is good, so he can actually burst out or he can change direction too. So I mean, and he's good on the screenplay stuff. And he can actually break through these screenplays, cut through. And I was watching I watched where he actually got a screenplay, follow the tackles, and then next thing you know, he's cutting back and he's actually running for a freaking touchdown. So I mean,
he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, pretty much.
He's gone. Yeah, yeah. In those comps too, there was a lot of guys he reminded me of. His size and his skill set, I thought it was different. Like Travis Etienne. When you think of a home run hitter in the modern NFL, you usually think of Travis Etienne. Just a guy that can go 75 yards like that. And this guy's got similar ability. Just follow blockers and then boom, he's 50 yards gone. So yeah, I think that Arizona needs some playmakers. They really do. They need to take Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th pick, I think they have. You need to take him, and then you need to take a running back like this, and you can fix a lot of things real quick on that offense. Number 4, Panthers, of course, because why not? Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard. Does that do much for anybody? Not really. Trading for Deontay Johnson. Get out of here. Stop. Just stop. The guy can't catch any touchdowns. They had a receiver for years that couldn't catch touchdowns, but at least he was a number 1. I mean, DJ Moore didn't catch any touchdowns with the Panthers either, but at least this guy was a number 1. Deontay was 2. You could argue almost a number 3 with Pittsburgh. I mean, he was our number 2 guy, and he's banged up. He's a slim frame guy. I don't know. I'm not a big Deontay Johnson fan. I know he had a good year, like 2021. I'm just not a big fan of that. Just whatever else they're trying to do, it's not going to help the running game. Like whatever goofy stuff they're trying to pull. Like end of the day, Bryce Young can't play. So until you fix the quarterback situation, I don't think a lot of running back, tight end, receiver solutions, offensive line is gonna help much. Bryce Young is awful. But what do you think about him with the Panthers though? Like probably because Miles Sanders, he's in line. He's one of these guys that could either be traded midseason or cut. He's very I don't see a Miles Sanders resurgence like midway through the year. He's week 8, Miles Sanders has 600 yards rushing or something. Like I just don't see that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's my thoughts on Miles Sanders.
That boy ain't right.
Yeah, he ain't right at
Yeah.
all. Right at all. I'll take, from last previous show, I'll say, like I said, I mentioned I'll take Chubba Hubba over freaking Miles Sanders.
Hubba,
They
hubba,
have,
hubba, hubba, hubba.
yeah, yeah, they have Mike Boone, Spencer Brown, Tariq Cohen up in, with I'm looking at the depth chart here. Yeah, I mean Tariq
I didn't know
Cohen.
he
I
was
mean,
still in the league. Tariq Cohen. I didn't know he
yes,
was
yep.
still in the league. I thought the Bears like banished. They banished him to the UFL or something.
I mean, if you think about it, Guerendo is actually pretty similar to, Tariq Cohen when he was with the Bears. I mean, he was kind of that, you know, that I wouldn't say dual threat. I mean,
Versatile.
kind of, yeah,
Do a little bit of
versatile.
everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And so I mean, he's a good replacement over Tariq Cohen for sure. Spencer Brown, he must have been one of their rookies last year. Then I don't think we really seen much from him. It was pretty much the Hubbard show. So other than that, I mean, yeah, I think this would help them benefit. Big, huge upgrade over Miles Sanders for sure, which I just don't like Miles Sanders. I don't really care for Miles Sanders.
No. No. Get out of here. The kids would say he's very mid.
Yeah,
He's
pretty
very
much.
mid. Let's close out the top 5, and then we'll close out our thoughts too, and then we'll see if anybody else. Yeah, if you are watching at all on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, or if you're just watching the live stream here, if you have any comments or any analysis, if you're a fan of any of these teams, if you want to chime in a little bit, go right ahead. You have anything, we're open ears, man. We're here to listen. We're just a couple talking heads here. And number 5, to close out the list, I got the Buffalo Bills. Circle the wagons. Circle them. Circle them. Josh Allen's coming. Got Josh Allen. They kicked Gabe Davis out of the circle. He's no longer in the circle. Boom. He got banished. That's where.
There he is. He wants him out the door again.
He's gone.
So before we get too far here, you're talking about Gabe Davis. I was actually listening to Fantasy RRPG over there. They were talking about free agencies and Mike, I gotta say, why are you in on freaking Gabe Davis? I even made it in the comments. Get him out of here. Don't even trust him. Only time you want to trust him is when he actually plays against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now,
no, it's the 1 week. It's like he's a better version of MVS. I said it last year, probably on one of these streams. Gabe Davis is a better version of MVS. Okay, the week you need this guy, he's going to get you, 3 catches, 38 yards. But the random week, that you just have him happen to sit on your bench because there's no reason to play Gabe Davis, right? This clown will go out and get 2-3 touchdowns. And as MVS was notorious for that. He'd have 1 catch, 12 yards, 1 catch, 7 yards, 3 catches, 43 yards. And out of nowhere, 6 grabs, 109 yards, TD. So, yeah, Gabe Davis, better version of MVS. Get him out of here. I want to talk about him. But the circle of the wagons here, Buffalo ain't got nobody left, okay? Devin Singletary, they got rid of him a couple years ago. Obviously, they had Zach Moss. They traded him a couple years ago. So, I mean, guys they've had through that were decent are no longer there. Latavius Murray, does he do anything for you? No, I don't know if he's still in the league. He might have retired. I'll have to look at I just glanced at their depth chart and I was like, yeah, I don't see anybody there that could hold this guy back. If he is really, if they have a good system in Buffalo, like if Josh Allen and the OC there. Is it Joe Brady? I'm thinking of. If they can put a game, they can build this kid up and really put something around him because he's got a different skill set than those other guys did. He's bigger than Zach Moss. He's bigger than Devin Singletary. Latavius Murray, he's kind of like a younger version. I mean, Latavius could move a little bit when he was with the Raiders and Vikings and not so much his last few years, but I think I think Latavius had 1,000-yard, maybe a couple 1,000-yard seasons.
yeah, he did.
So
Yeah,
that's not a terrible comp either. Guerendo, I think he'd do well in Buffalo. I think the fans will love this guy. I mean, they had a bunch. I mean, they've had a bunch of home run hitter kind of, like Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis we just talked about him. He was a receiving home run hitter. He bat like 180, but he did get some home runs. So have this kid in Buffalo. You have this kid in Buffalo hitting home runs. Yeah, sign me up. And he
Yeah,
thought for the Bills. Bills taking Guerendo. He could make, dude. This is a place a lot like the Cowboys and Giants. I think these three places, he's got a legitimate chance if he has a good training camp, a good preseason. Maybe a few injuries early in the year. He has a good chance midway through the year to be starting. Like he could be an RB1, in these places. That's how kind of the depth charts just kind of work out in these teams.
Yeah, I was just looking at their depth charts. They only have 2. They have James Cooks and Darren Evans. I don't see anybody else so far. So I mean, they only have 2 running backs. So I mean, yeah, this would probably be a good fit for him. I would have to agree. I mean, a little bit better than Zach Moss when he first came out as rookie. It's better than Singletary. So I mean, this guy kind of a little bit bigger. He's actually a little bit big. Just a couple of more inches bigger than James Cooks. Or James Cooks. James Cook. So I mean, I like James Cook. But yeah, I mean, this guy could, come in and be a kind of one of their pass catchers, 3rd down, 4th downs or whatever, just kind of get a little work in there. And, James being kind of the main guy.
Yeah, James Cook, and some Buffalo fans will, whoa, no, he's better than you think. It's like, I'm not that impressed. I'm really not. I think given the right situation, this guy could eventually beat out James Cook. I think that's very possible. This isn't like, you're not trying to jump McCaffrey. You're not trying to jump Nick Chubb. You're not trying to jump, even Jahmyr Gibbs with the Lions, backs like that. I mean, James Cook is solid. He's not great. So that's, and they could work in tandem too. That could be a one, like kind of what you were saying, they could be a nice 1-2 punch as well. Cook and Guerendo working together too. That's definitely, but the rest of their depth chart is garbage. So it's like James Cook, Guerendo, and a bunch of scrubs,
Yeah, I mean, they only, I'm looking at CBS Sports here, and they only got 2, Darren Evans. That's all they got for their showing on their depth
Who the
chart.
hell? Yeah, Zach Evans. Who the hell? Mike Evans. Who the hell is that? Yeah, But honorable mention, Kansas City Chiefs, because they did let CEH go, and obviously Pacheco. They're always looking for like kind of raw, cheap guy, cheap labor, raw backs that they can kind of mold. Andy Reid kind of loves players like that, or players with he's not a troublemaker or anything, but he takes troubled players and players that need to be molded a little bit and need some time to bake in the oven a little bit. And I think the Chiefs would be kind of my 6th team if I extended it, because I think he'd be a nice replacement for CEH. All the deficiencies that CEH had that he couldn't do, he couldn't get the job done. A guy like Isaac Guerendo could come in and I think him and Pacheco would be a damn good one too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just kind of wrap this up here quick. Guerendo actually didn't, for being an ACC. I mean, just in the conference itself, 7th overall, 192 fantasy points in PPR settings. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, if he, we were talking earlier too, if he actually
his teammate.
Yeah.
His running mate. I mean, Jay, his running mate's number 2. So it's like, you get mad at the guy. I mean, Roschon Johnson was a number 2 to, Bijan in college, and Roschon was, 3rd, 4th round pick and had a pretty decent rookie year for the Bears. So it's hard to and it's hard to get stats when your running mate's the number 2 ACC fantasy running back.
And that's why I mentioned, I think, if he wasn't there, I think Guerendo he probably would have been number 2 guy overall. He would have had 1,000 some odd yards.
Absolutely. He'd be Hampton. Guerendo.
Yeah, he would have had the 13 touchdowns or whatever, so that would have been I think that would have been the different story there, overall. I mean, you can kind of see 10, he was 10th in the conference with his 810 yards, 6th for 11 touchdowns. He was 4th. He had a couple receiving yards, 234 receiving yards, so 4th in that category over there. So I mean, I didn't go back and actually take a look at, what it compared, his fantasy points compared to what, some of the NFL guys did, just give some contrasts a little bit, but I didn't look into that. And then in the country overall, 47th, not bad, that's top 50. I mean, so he pretty much was a top 50 player this year, which is great when you think about it, coming, college guys, if you're in the top 50, I mean, you're at least going to have an eye, or you're at least going to have a look, at least if you're a top 50 player. 70th in rushing yards, 34th in touchdowns, 35th in the receiving yards, and then just almost the top 100 for rushing yard or the attempts. Very very limited. So I mean, this guy doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on him. So I mean, that's you already mentioned that too. So I mean, that's going to be a positive for him. You're not no injuries. So this guy will be fresh and available for somebody to just pick off in the draft if it does come to that. I'm sure couple of these guys, one of the Discord servers I'm in, one guy, I'm sure somebody will say, no, he'll be an undrafted free agent more than likely, and I'm like, it's very possible, but it's hard saying too. He could be a sixth rounder, fifth rounder, who knows? I mean, with a talented guy like this, I would think he would be drafted.
Yeah. I used John Ross. He's a different position. Obviously, it's been a few years, but John Ross was drafted strictly number 9 because of his speed, or nothing else. The guy didn't have good hands. He didn't run good routes, but because the guy was a blazer, and they're like, well, he'll get by every DB in the league. Same thing here. It's like this guy is raw tool. Just somebody's gonna be willing to kick the tires, like 4th, 5th round. He's gonna be drafted. I would bet money. I'd bet a substantial amount of money he's going to be drafted. He's not going to be an undrafted guy. He's not Keaton Mitchell, a guy that popped last year as a rookie, undrafted. He's a little undersized. Guys like that have they're good, high character. They've got some skills, but guys like Keaton Mitchell go undrafted just because it's a numbers game and size and that kind of stuff.
Well,
but
well,
no,
yeah.
a freak like this is not. Yeah, he's not falling past the 5th round.
Yeah, I mean, Keith Mitchell too. And I was hoping and I think that was a little bit more, a smaller school,
Yeah.
Even though he put up the monster yards and everything, that would catch somebody's eye, but school. I mean, and that played a role in that. But he did average about 57 yards per game, give or take, and then, fantasy point wise, about 13 points, give or take, a game. So it kind of gives you an idea. Could he be a little bit better than a 13-point guy? If we drafted him, could he maybe be 17? Maybe 17 out points per game, give or take. So it's and I think it all varies too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we did. I think we did a thorough job because I don't think a lot other than his combine. I don't think a ton of people, especially the NFL side, just the casual NFL fan, they don't know a lot about this guy.
No, I didn't even know anything about him.
Yeah, I don't think a ton of people were watching. I mean, he was kind of the backup. He was kind of basically the second back at Louisville. That's like being the backup quarterback at Pitt or Boise State or something. It's like, yeah. Who are you? So I hope we, anybody that ends up watching this live or watching it, in the next couple days or so, that comes across this, kind of keeps that in perspective. Like this guy would, other than his combine numbers and popping in that Holiday Bowl game against USC, if you were watching that, kind of an unknown commodity. So, and sometimes a good thing and a bad thing. So we'll see what he can.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see because it's going to be a polarizing topic, especially in Dynasty, forums and on Discord and in different places. It's going to be a heavily discussed thing. Like Jay was saying, some guys in the league are dead set, hey, he's going to be undrafted. Some guys are like us, 4th, 5th round. So there's going to be a big variance with this guy. He's going to be polarizing for sure.
Yeah. Our title, Guerendo, is he a 4th round sleeper? Well, I actually had before we get out here, I went back and took a look at I kind of did some mocks with some guys post combine. It was a 16 team mock. And Guerendo actually went in the 3rd round. He actually went, I think it was like, I had it written down here. Where in the heck did I put it? Yes, he went after Jalen Wright, and he went before Ray Davis. So Jalen Wright 3-2, Isaac Guerendo 3-4, and then Ray Davis 3-8.
So yeah, he's in. Hey, that's a good representation. He's right in line where I think he's at too. Ray Davis and guys like that. I mean, he's not like an all-time this ain't Bijan. This isn't like an all-time or Zeke when Zeke was coming out or guys like that. But he's Ray Davis. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. Like Ray Davis is gonna be a pretty good NFL running back. So he's right in that. Just it's interesting to see the drafters there kind of seeing him in that Ray Davis, kind of mold in that same vein. That's cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was gonna mention that too, because our headline was, 4th round. Is he a sleeper? Yeah, he very well could be a sleeper. You just don't know. It all comes down to which team he lands on, and we just gave you guys some insight on his capabilities, and hopefully,
So good.
maybe who knows? Hopefully, maybe you guys might have taken him. Maybe taking him in the 3rd round, your rookie dynasty drafts here. This after the draft, the after the draft in April. There we go. I was getting all defundled over here because Eli was ranting about something. I don't know what he was just random noises. I'm like, dude, shut up.
I remember the old Brisk commercials.
Uh,
Yeah, Brisk.
yeah, but yeah. Well, we appreciate all the views. We appreciate Big D being up in the live chat down there. Yeah. Hey guys, look, Eli mentioned if you guys got something to say, hit it up in the live chats. If you have, just it makes it a little bit more fun, makes it more interesting for us, gives us some dialogue. Besides it's just between me and him just talking, but we're two funny guys anyways, so we can make a show 2 hours long and not even think about it. So, but yes, make
We
sure you guys
might
join
do
it.
the we might do the Out of Rhythm open mic night, comedy night.
Yeah, there we go. That should be a new show. There we go. A new one. A whole new side channel. There we go. That would probably bring us the views.
Cushions and bad dad jokes. Yep.
Right. But yeah, make sure you join the Discord. All of our, I think I got a couple links for, Spotify and all, and our other main one where you can get our podcast over there. It's kind of linked to Spotify as well. But yeah, just make sure you join, follow all those, hit the bell for notifications. Spotify, Apple, and Google Play. Discord's in the description below too as well. So make sure you guys, if you guys want more of us, yeah, come join us, come chit chat with us. You can also find me on Autorhythm Fant at Twitter, and you can find Eli at Elijah James, or not Elijah James, Eli Appletoff on X.
I tied it in. That's
Yeah,
why I did it like that.
Yeah,
Elijah. It's Elijah. Donovan said, I don't know the college guys good enough, so I just listen. Yeah, if you want to do that too, you want to sit back, have a cold one, popcorn. If you're at your kid's volleyball game, whatever you're doing, you got Netflix on in the background. Put us on. But like Jay was saying, it makes this easier because otherwise, I just have to rant. So it's easier to respond to comments to kind of tie into the show. Otherwise, I'm like, oh no. And then I have to fake a heart attack like this.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, guys. I think that calls it good. But yeah, next time I think we're gonna hit up Ben Tanat from Kansas State. Will be our next guy. We get another tight end up in there. Talk about him a little bit. I know he kind of showed some promise in, I think it was the Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl, one of the two. I can't remember. I have to go back and take a look at my notes. But yeah, other than that, guys, I think that's it. So we'll see you guys on the next one. I'm not sure when, but we'll let you guys know soon enough. But hey, if you follow my Twitter feed,
Monday, possibly Monday.
Well, I was just saying, if they follow my Twitter feed, you'd actually know when it goes live. A couple days before.
Yep,
Yeah, so make sure you follow me on Twitter because I let people know a couple days beforehand when we go live and whatnot. So yeah. Don't worry about following that guy. He doesn't know what he's doing over there. So
yeah, I really don't. He ain't lying.
All right, guys. From Out of Rhythm, I'm Jamie, and that's Eli. We're Out of Rhythm. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.